A kitchen table, 11 o'clock at night. A single lamp illuminates a pile of bills. Rent due in 3 days. A final notice from the electricity company. A mechanic's estimate for brake replacement. $400. Without the car, no way to get to work. A banking app on a phone screen. The balance reads $600. The math is impossible. Pay the rent, lose the car. Fix the car, lose the apartment. Pay neither, lose both. This is not a math problem. This is a psychological emergency. Inside the skull of the person sitting at that table, something measurable is happening. The brain is entering a state researchers call the scarcity mindset. Once it takes hold, it will quietly begin dismantling the ability to think clearly, plan ahead, and make rational decisions. It will, in the most literal, scientifically documented sense, make this person temporarily less intelligent. Not because they are stupid, not because they lack education, but because the human brain was never designed to operate under the relentless pressure of not having enough. A research laboratory at Harvard University, 2013. Economist Sendhil Mullainathan and Princeton psychologist Eldar Shafir design an experiment. The title of their paper in the journal Science is blunt: Poverty Impedes Cognitive Function. A shopping mall in New Jersey. The researchers recruit ordinary shoppers with varying levels of income. Each person is given a simple scenario. Your car breaks down. The repair costs $1,500. How would you handle it? After thinking about the scenario, each participant takes a standard cognitive test, Raven's progressive matrices, which measures logical thinking and pattern recognition. A split screen showing 2 sets of test results. Wealthier participants, their scores were identical regardless of the repair cost. The financial scenario was a minor annoyance, not a cognitive event. Low-income participants, when the repair cost was high, their cognitive performance dropped by roughly 13 IQ points. A scale showing what 13 IQ points means. It is the cognitive equivalent of losing an entire night of sleep. The gap between average intelligence and borderline classification. No one was drugged. No one was sleep-deprived. They simply thought about a financial problem that felt overwhelming, and the worry consumed so much cognitive bandwidth that their brains could no longer perform at full capacity. A map of southern India. Tamil Nadu. Rice paddies and sugarcane fields stretching to the horizon. The researchers traveled here to prove this was not just a laboratory trick. A sugarcane farmer standing in a field before harvest. His annual income arrives in a single payment after the crop is sold. Before harvest, he is desperately poor. After harvest, he is relatively comfortable. Same person, same brain, same education, same life. A desk with 2 sets of test results side by side. Before harvest, cognitive scores dramatically lower. After harvest, scores rebounded to normal levels. The same human being showed measurable differences in raw cognitive ability, depending solely on whether he was experiencing financial scarcity. A whiteboard in Mullainathan's office. 2 words written in blue marker. Bandwidth tax. Below it, a diagram of a computer processor. The human mind has finite processing power, limited bandwidth. When a massive, urgent problem consumes most of that bandwidth, there is less capacity left for everything else. Less capacity for planning ahead. Less for self-control. Less for weighing long-term consequences against short-term impulses. The best parts of the cognitive machinery have been hijacked by the emergency of the present moment. A dark tunnel, narrowing to a single point of light at the far end. This is what researchers call tunneling. When scarcity takes hold, attention narrows dramatically. You can only see the crisis directly in front of you. The rent, the bill, the broken car. Everything outside the tunnel becomes invisible. A split screen. Inside the tunnel, the rent check, the phone bill, the mechanic's estimate. Outside the tunnel, a retirement account statement, a medical checkup reminder, a child's college savings plan, a car insurance renewal notice. All invisible. Not because the person does not care, because the brain physically cannot allocate processing power to them. A clock showing 3 a.m. The person at the kitchen table is still awake, still calculating. She has found a solution. She will work a double shift on Saturday, sell her old laptop on a marketplace app, negotiate a 3-day extension with the landlord. She will borrow $40 from a coworker and skip meals on Tuesday and Wednesday. The crisis will be resolved. This is what Mullainathan and Shafir call the focus dividend. Scarcity makes you intensely, almost supernaturally creative about solving the immediate problem. A person with 3 days to pay rent will perform cognitive feats that a comfortable person would never attempt. Juggling multiple income sources, negotiating with creditors, optimizing every dollar with the precision of a financial analyst. But the focus dividend has a brutal cost. A calendar showing the following month. Circled in red, car insurance renewal. Missed. A doctor's appointment reminder. Ignored. A deadline for a government childcare subsidy application. Passed. A letter from the school about a parent-teacher conference. Unopened. All of these were outside the tunnel. All of them will become crises of their own in the coming weeks. The medical symptom that was ignored will become an emergency room visit in 6 months, 10 times more expensive than the checkup would have been. The lapsed car insurance will result in a fine that costs more than the premium would have. The missed subsidy deadline means another year without financial support. The tunnel gives you survival, but it steals your future. Every crisis solved inside the tunnel generates 2 new crises outside of it. A storefront in a low-income neighborhood. Neon sign. Cash advance. Fast approval. A payday lending office. The window advertises, "Get $500 in minutes. No credit check." Inside, plastic chairs, fluorescent lighting, bulletproof glass at the counter. The typical payday loan charges $15 per 100 borrowed for a 2-week term. Written on a whiteboard in a university lecture hall, a professor converts this to an annual percentage rate. The number? 390%. A person walks through the payday lender's door. She needs $200 by Friday, or she loses her electricity. The power company does not negotiate. The lender offers $200 right now. The fee is $30. $30 is the price of a fast food dinner for the family. Inside the tunnel, the $30 feels invisible compared to the catastrophic cost of darkness, spoiled food, and children doing homework by candlelight. The long-term calculation that this fee will compound into hundreds of dollars of debt over the coming months is happening outside the tunnel. The brain inside the tunnel cannot see outside it. That is the definition of the tunnel. 2 weeks later, the same storefront. She is back. The $200 is due, plus the $30 fee. She does not have $230. The lender offers to roll the loan over. Another 2 weeks, another $30 in fees. The original debt grows. The cycle begins. A map showing payday lending storefronts across a major American city. Colored dots cluster in the same zip codes: low income, high financial stress, high minority populations. The industry did not invent the tunnel. They surveyed the landscape, identified where the tunnels are deepest, and built their storefronts at the entrance. A graph showing the median payday borrower spends nearly 200 days per year in debt to these lenders. A second graph. Average total fees paid exceed the original loan amount. A billion-dollar industry engineered to harvest profit from a biological limitation of the human brain. A gas station convenience store, late evening. A wall of lottery tickets behind the counter. Bright colors, gold foil, promises of millions printed in bold. A hand places a $20 bill on the counter and receives scratch cards in return. The cashier does not blink. This transaction happens dozens of times a day. A bar chart. Americans spend over $80 billion on lottery tickets every year. That is more than they spend on books, music, movies, and video games combined. The vast majority of that money comes from people in the lowest income brackets. A pie chart. Households earning under $10,000 annually spend roughly 6% of their income on lottery tickets. A second pie chart beside it. Upper middle-class families contribute approximately the same percentage to retirement savings accounts. The poorest Americans invest in fantasy at the same rate that the comfortable invest in compound interest. A kitchen table. Different house, same financial pressure. A man stares at a lottery ticket. Every conventional path to financial improvement feels blocked. Saving is impossible. Every dollar is already committed to survival. Education requires money he does not have. Promotion requires credentials he cannot afford. The lottery is no longer a statistical absurdity. Inside the tunnel, it becomes the only visible escape route. A survey result displayed on a news broadcast. 1 in 5 Americans believes winning the lottery is the most practical way to accumulate significant wealth. Not investing, not saving, not entrepreneurship. Winning the lottery. This is tunneling operating at a societal scale. Millions of people pouring billions into a system designed to extract their money while selling them a mathematical impossibility. A courtroom. A judge reviews a case involving missed payments and evicted tenants. A newspaper editorial calling the poor irresponsible. A talk show host asking why people in poverty make bad choices. A surgeon in an operating room, 36 hours without sleep. She makes a surgical error. No one calls her a bad surgeon. They blame the sleep deprivation. They blame the condition, not the character. The scarcity mindset is the financial equivalent of chronic sleep deprivation. It does not change who you are. It changes what your brain can do. And unlike sleep deprivation, which ends when you finally rest, financial scarcity does not have a clear endpoint. The bandwidth tax is collected every single day. A government office. A stack of application forms for financial assistance. Dozens of pages, dense institutional language, strict deadlines, extensive documentation requirements. These systems are designed as if the people using them have unlimited cognitive bandwidth. A wealthy person with an accountant and a personal assistant could navigate these forms effortlessly. The person who actually needs the food stamps, working 2 jobs, caring for children, performing impossible financial calculations every night, is precisely the person whose bandwidth is most severely taxed. A hospital built on top of a mountain. Mullainathan and Shafir's metaphor. We have built safety nets that require cognitive resources that poverty itself has already consumed. Then we wonder why people cannot reach them. A policy proposal on a screen. Make enrollment automatic. Simplify forms to a single page. Send reminders instead of expecting people to track deadlines. Remove barriers instead of adding them. Do not ask the people with the least bandwidth to perform the most complex bureaucratic tasks. A before and after comparison. A country that switched to automatic enrollment in pension plans saw participation jump from 49% to over 90%. The people did not change. The system changed. The tunnel was bypassed. A second example. A city that pre-filled tax forms for low-income residents, instead of requiring them to gather documents and calculate deductions, saw a dramatic increase in refund claims. Billions of dollars that eligible families had been leaving on the table because the cognitive cost of claiming them was too high. The solution is not to tell poor people to try harder. The solution is to engineer systems that account for what scarcity does to the brain. A professor's office at Harvard. Mullainathan sits at his desk, surrounded by overdue papers, unanswered emails, a calendar packed with conflicting obligations. He is not financially poor. He is time poor, and the psychology is identical. A corporate office, midnight. An executive stares at a laptop screen. She has worked 80 hours this week. Her child's school play was yesterday. She forgot to attend. She is not a bad parent. She is a person whose bandwidth has been consumed by professional scarcity. A dorm room during finals week. 5 exams in 7 days. A student pulls consecutive all-nighters. She gets sick, falls further behind. The tunnel deepens. A Venn diagram on a whiteboard. 3 overlapping circles. Money scarcity, time scarcity, emotional scarcity. The tunnel effect operates identically in all 3. It does not discriminate by intelligence, education, class, or character. It is a function of the relationship between demands and resources. A measuring cup filled exactly to the brim, 1 drop away from overflowing. This is what the researchers call slack, the buffer between resources and demands. The financial cushion that means a $400 car repair is an annoyance, not a catastrophe. The free afternoon in your schedule that absorbs an unexpected problem without the entire week collapsing. A second measuring cup, already overflowing, water pooling on the counter. No slack. Every unexpected event becomes a crisis. Every crisis opens the tunnel. The tunnel produces bad decisions. Bad decisions destroy slack further. The cycle accelerates downward. A single mother at a kitchen table. Different city, same arithmetic. She cannot save money because every emergency consumes her entire paycheck. No buffer means the next emergency hits harder. Harder impact means less capacity to plan. Less planning means worse decisions. Worse decisions mean less slack. The scarcity trap, spinning like a centrifuge. A startup founder in a garage office, 3 monitors glowing. So consumed by daily operational fires, an angry customer email, a server crash, a missed delivery, that she cannot invest a single hour in the strategic thinking that would prevent those fires from recurring. She is tunneling on today's crisis while next quarter's catastrophe grows silently in the background. A hospital hallway, 4 a.m. A medical resident has been awake for 22 consecutive hours. She reviews a patient's chart and misses a critical lab result. A colleague catches the error minutes later. This time, the 100-hour workweek is not testing her dedication, it is taxing her bandwidth to the breaking point, and the patient absorbs the risk. The scarcity trap is not a metaphor. It is a measurable, predictable, scientifically documented cycle of cognitive degradation. The next time you see someone making a decision that seems irrational, taking a predatory loan, buying lottery tickets they cannot afford, ignoring a medical symptom, missing a deadline, before you judge their character, consider their bandwidth. consider the possibility that they are not acting foolishly. They're acting exactly the way a human brain acts when it has been pushed into the tunnel. We are all one sustained crisis away from the same behavior. The scarcity mindset is not a personal failing. It is the architecture of the human brain colliding with the unforgiving mathematics of not having enough. And until we design our systems around this reality, instead of the comfortable fiction that everyone has equal cognitive resources at all times, the tunnel will keep closing, the bandwidth will keep shrinking, and the people trapped inside will keep making decisions that the people outside will never understand, because they have never been inside.